this going? Okay. Hey guys, I'm back. So like I talked about last time in the last video about ankle mobility, today we'll be talking about hip mobility, also extremely important. So again, like I talked about in ankle mobility, to test functionality in the body, I recommend doing the overhead squat assessment, having arms up at a 45-degree angle, and squatting as deep as you can. If you notice when you do that you lean over excessively, there's one of two things, probably ankle mobility problems or hip mobility problems, or it could actually be from knee instability, which affects mobility of those two as well. So it's one of those two things. Now if you did the ankle mobility and you didn't experience any problems, you were able to pass the test easily on both sides without any pressure in the front of the ankle joint or strain in the muscles on the back, then I would suggest to come here to the hip mobility. Now for this one, you're gonna want to you're gonna need like a bed or something to lay down onto flat. You're gonna lay flat and have your lower part of your legs hanging off the table or the bed or whatever you're laying on. All right. And what we're gonna do is called the Thomas test. I have my notes here like last time, so I'm just gonna go through those. And for the Thomas test to pass, what you want to do is grab either the right or the left. We're gonna do it on both sides, but just start with the right hip. You're gonna grab the knee and pull it to your chest. You want to be able to pull it fully to your chest while keeping the opposite side. This is really key. Keeping the opposite side, having your thigh, the back of the leg stay on the bench or the bed or whatever. Not having your lower part of your leg extend up, keep it perpendicular to the ground, or having your opposite leg tilt to the side and kind of rotate outwards when you pull the right side to your chest. All right. If you are not able to do all four of those properly, that is a failed test. All right. So also that you want to check for asymmetry here in the hip joint. So if you're able to pull one leg farther to the chest than the other, you might have asymmetry of mobility, in which case you need to correct that. All right. So first off, the one thing that will be, so say you have the 4 checkpoints, right? The one is not, if you're not able to pull all the way to your chest, that's going to be mobility in the hip. If you're not able to do the other 3, which is the keeping the leg flat to the bed, keeping your lower leg perpendicular to the ground, or the leg is rotating outwards, if you fail in any one of those 3 ways, it's going to be soft tissue that we need to correct instead of mobility in the hip. So we'll go over the soft tissue first. And so basically what you're testing is your hip mobility. And there's a few different hip muscles. There's the iliacus and the psoas, which people often refer to together, called the iliopsoas muscles. Those are 2 muscles, just so you guys know, not one. But they work in conjunction with each other. And then as well as the rectus femoris. There's 2 more, but they're not as important because, well, really the 2 big ones are the iliacus and the psoas, but those affect your mobility past the height of your hip. All right. So obviously when we're pulling it to our chest, we're going past the height of your hip. The other 3 are gonna affect mainly your mobility to get to the chest. All right. So to stretch those, we can do a foam roll, or we could stretch, and that's how we inhibit or lengthen overactive muscles, and those are the overactive muscles from our tests. So you can get the rectus femoris with the foam roller. It's the front of the quads. So with this, foam rolling is really great. I see a lot of people do it incorrectly though. You have to go nice and slow, take big deep breaths, really relax the muscles, and just find those tender points and sit and oscillate on those. If you're going too fast, you're not really hitting those trigger points, so you're not going to benefit from it. And then the rectus femoris is a muscle that starts all the way from the hip down to the knee, so you got to go the full length of the muscle fiber, right? So it'll look like this. You lay it in position, and I like to sit in kind of a with my forearms on the ground and just roll back and forth. on muscle fiber. Like I said, 30 seconds. at least like per kind of trigger point to really let that sink in, inhibit the muscle fiber and get the elasticity in the fascia. Then stretches. I mean, there's a plethora of hip stretches. A couple of my favorites I'll go over. One would be runner stretch, which is going to look like this. Get in a deep lunge as far as you can. Foot on the outside of your hands and sitting right here and trying to push your hips as close to the ground as possible, okay? You're going to get a deep stretch right in here. Alright, so that's going to be a really good one. Here's what it looks like from the other side. Another one I really like, frog pose, and I'm going to put my yoga mat down because it doesn't feel good on your knees to do it on concrete. So you're going to get these knees as far as possible, keeping the legs parallel to each other, and then sitting in this position right here, similar to the frog, that's why it's called it that. And you're going to get a deep inner groin stretch as well as stretching the hips. And again, this is static stretch, holding for at least 30 seconds is the key. Alright. Let's move this that way. Another one is the sumo, which is a good one too. And it gets you comfortable. There's two parts to it. You're getting a good stretch, as well as getting used to being in that deep position of a deep squat. A lot of people, they don't go to full range of motion with their squat. They don't feel comfortable with that, being in those dark depths down there, deep in a squat, which can be scary, you know. So getting used to that is going to be beneficial. So getting your deep squat and pushing your knees out is going to stretch right in here, get those hips open. And if you can't stay in this deep squat like this, grabbing onto a pole to secure yourself will work just fine too. That would actually be better, even if you can't get in that deep stretch, just so you don't have to worry about your balances. So yeah, I'm gonna pause real quick. Okay, so I had to get a good point for what we're about to do. So we just did muscle, what would be a muscle restriction or soft tissue restriction. Now we're going to go to the joint restriction, and this is in the case if you can't get the hip or pull the knee all the way to the chest. On that leg, you're going to have joint issues. So this can be from a result of repetitive stretch, or sorry, not stretch, but strain. And it can be also a adaptation to the long-term like sedentary lifestyle, just sitting. Your joints become restricted because of the excessive sitting. So a lot, this one in particular is really going to benefit the most people, in my opinion, because a lot of people, this affects people that work out as well as people that don't work out. People that work out and don't take the time to do mobility work, which is me, you know, I benefit from this a lot. So people that go too hard in the gym, and then also people that don't go at all to the gym. There's a very small proportion of people that go to the gym and do the right stuff there. So this is going to benefit a lot of people. So we're going to use the band on, you need a pretty thick band on an anchor point that will not move. And you're going to get the band right here in the hip. Here, I'll just demonstrate. And I got this band mobility work from, what is it, Squat University. They have a blog and a YouTube page, and they have all kinds of great stuff to help you with your squat. And I got this from them. So you're gonna put it in here, get it up high, and scooch forward like this. In this position you want to be in. All right, you're kind of like in track start. So hands out here. The band, the leg with the band has the knee on the ground. Let me get my shirt out of here. Oh jeez. There we go. On the ground, and then the other leg is far out behind you. Okay. And you're just gonna sit with this band with the tension on it, and oscillate side to side, back and forth, and all this tension in the band is pulling your femur back in your socket and allowing for more range of motion So just doing this for a while, around 30 seconds or so, and then hiking up into this position. Nice and high. Get your legs straight as possible, and then doing a big hamstring stretch, as well as the hip mobility. And switch. So I'll show you from the left. That might be a little bit easier for you to see. And it's not greatest conditions because it's really wet and a little muddy out. So I'm slipping a little bit. But you get the idea. Right here. All that tension in the band. And then, you know, do it for about 30 seconds or so. Oscillate back and forth. And then hike up. Same thing. And you feel a really deep hamstring stretch. And pulling of the femur back. Oh man. And so this is pulling your leg back. So now when you're down here, your pelvic bone isn't running into your femur and basically creating a stoppage. You can go deeper than you normally would if that's the case for you. If you failed the Thomas test, pulling the knee back. Alright, so let me go back to my notes. My back just cracked. You might have heard that. So I think that's it with everything there. Yeah, and then the last and most important thing is posterior chain activation. If you're slacking in your squat by leaning forward, getting more power production from the glutes. A lot of people squat with just the gluteus maximus, but you have the two other muscles in there, the medius and the minimus. So activating those by doing like unilateral abduction or lateral walks with a band around your knees, something like that to activate the posterior chain will benefit you in your squat as well. Alright, I think that's about it. That is hip mobility. Hopefully I explained it well enough. If you have any questions regarding anything, drop them down in the comments. Like and all that. Alright, I'll see you guys. Bye.